Hi there everyone, Jack here again at the Vinyl Voyage. So today I'm going to be busting out my Vertigo Swirl collection. If you're a fan of psych, prog, kind of strange singer-songwriter type stuff, jazz fusion, you most definitely know about the Vertigo Swirl label, which was founded in 1969. It was a subsidiary of Philips, and the reason Philips started Vertigo was at the tail end of the 60s. There were so many underground bands coming through that they wanted to have a special home for them away from their main roster of acts. So Vertigo was set up to house these cool, new, hip underground bands that specialised in predominantly prog and psych. They're a UK label, and lots of other labels did the same thing. EMI set up Harvest to look after their underground roster, and Decca set up Deram. So, yeah, lots of good bands and all these labels, but today we're going to look at my Vertigo Swirls. Now, these can pass for a lot of money. I didn't spend a lot of money in my collection. I like to try and pick them up as cheap as I can, but yeah, they can go into the hundreds and hundreds of pounds. But I've only got a small collection, a small but modest collection, but well loved nonetheless. So let's get straight into it. The first one I'd like to show you then is Affinity's debut, kind of their only album, self-titled. Affinity were a band out of Brighton. I think they were formed in Brighton. They were a quintet, kind of jazz rock fusion type band. A little bit of blues influence in there as well. A little bit of soul, a bit of a hot pot of a number of things. But they were led by ex-teacher Linda Hoyle, who had an absolutely fantastic voice. I really like Affinity. It's one of my favourite Vertigo releases. I love the cover. Such a cool cover, this. A lot of the Vertigo album covers were done by this guy called Keith. It's not his real name. I think he's a Keith Richards fan. I can't remember his name. Is it something Marcus? Marcus Keith? Is that his name? But yeah, always gets credited to Keith. And I suppose one of the things that you notice with a lot of the Vertigo album covers is this false colour photography, where a lot of the foliage shows up as purple or kind of pinky lilac. You see that in a lot of the different Vertigo releases. But yeah, this is a fantastic album. There's the band there. This came out in 1970. It was one of the first Affinity releases. Like I said, Linda Hoyle, fantastic voice, really good voice. There's lots of little blurbs here about the album and the band, but lots about Linda. Linda Hoyle, the next most likely girl from the Melody Maker. Linda Hoyle is the girl most likely to succeed in 1970. She's the lead singer with Affinity. That was Anne Nightingale from the Daily Sketch. Miles Kington from the Times, he said, there's a great deal of fine musicianship to enjoy. The solos, the interplay between the guitar and the bass, the tightness of the group as a whole, and a singer, Linda Hoyle, who is powerfully effective. And that's so true. She's got a fantastic voice. That first track is really good. It's called I Am and So Are You. The final track is a cover of All Along the Watchtower, which is really cool as well. But yeah, great band. I love Affinity. I'll just show you. This is a UK first press. And this is probably the only one that I spent a little bit more on. That's the label. And then the kind of famous swirl that you all know and love. So yeah, really good. Really pleased to pick this up. One of my favourite records, I think, in my collection. Affinity. Really good. Next up then, from 1970, we have Jimmy Campbell with Half Baked. Absolutely brilliant singer-songwriter album. Jimmy Campbell was a Liverpudlian singer-songwriter. He'd previously been in the bands The Kirbies, then he was in the psych pop band The 23rd Turnoff. He was later in a kind of heavier rock band called Rockin' Horse, who provides some of the backing on this. But yeah, the title track's absolutely fantastic. It's kind of part very delicate, melancholy singer-songwriter, finger-picking bit, and then it goes into these heavier, kind of almost Led Zeppelin-esque rock parts that were played by Joey Molland, who went on to be Badfinger's guitarist. Yeah, I love that album cover again. So surreal in the front cover, and then it's kind of sinister in the back cover. You've got this raven, and then if you look closer, got this like hooded figure. yeah, loads of great songs on here. Some of the other good ones. The opening track's really good. Green-Eyed American Actress. That is more of a kind of country rock number. So Lonely Without You is a bit of a John Lennon-esque rocker. In My Room, very, very delicate, melancholy singer-songwriter song about all the kind of things that were in Jimmy Campbell's childhood room, all the things that he had up in his wall. This is a German press, this one. It's a German first press. Really, really nice. I wanted a pressing of this that was in kind of mint condition, because that is a very delicate album at times, and I didn't want lots of crackle and that kind of thing over the top. So yeah, really, really love this copy. It's fantastic. Um, Jimmy Campbell really never hit the heights that he should have. Quite often compared to Nick Drake. I don't think he sounds overly like Nick Drake. They were both kind of, I suppose, introspective singer-songwriter types. Jimmy Campbell's a bit poppier. I think a little bit more rocky in places, but they both probably never made it because they both had a reluctance to touring. Jimmy Campbell hated to tour as well, and as a result, his career never really fully took off. The album after this is very, very good as well. Not on Vertigo, the next album, the Jimmy Campbell album. For some reason, that's on Phillips, which I'm not quite sure why he changed into Phillips, but excellent as well. But yeah, highly recommend this Half Baked. Next then, an album from 1972 is 666 by Greek psych pop progsters, Aphrodites Child. Love this album. It's like a double concept album, all about the Book of Revelations, but with a kind of countercultural setting. But yeah, I don't get too hung up on the actual concept. I just love the album. Half of it, or maybe a bit more than half, is very experimental, long instrumental passages, and then there's some more kind of psychedelic type pop songs. For instance, Babylon, absolutely fantastic song. When Demis Roussos' bass comes in and those vocals, it's just glorious. The Beast is really, really good. The Four Horsemen, fantastic as well. But there's other songs with kind of chants on there, and then there's others with bits of narration, weird instrumentation, and maybe not the easiest album to get into initially, but very rewarding with repeated listening. Now this is a Dutch pressing. That's I think the original Brazilian cover. This is a Dutch pressing, a really, really nice copy as well. I went for the Dutch copy because to get a UK first press of this is extremely expensive, and this sounds fantastic as well. I think this has just been reissued in a whole host of different formats with additional material and that kind of thing on it. But yeah, I just love the album. It's really, really great. I think the band broke up after this. Initially they were a bit of a kind of psych pop band, Aphrodites Child. This was recorded in France. There was a lot of tension going on while the album was being recorded. Vangelis, the keyboard player, was wanting to go in a kind of different direction. He wanted to go more experimental, try out different things. The rest of the band, Demis Roussos and the rest of the band, wanted to be more of continue within that kind of psych pop vein. And ultimately they split up after this was released, or it might even been before the album was released, and then it was kind of released after the band had already broke up. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, check it out. If you're into something a bit different, then this is a fantastic album. Love it. 666, Aphrodites Child. Next up then, some proto-prog out of Glasgow from 1970. This is Beggar's Opera with their first album, Act 1. And you can see that fantastic cover again from Keith, very surreal. That's the band there. And then the inside, yeah, this is very, very Hammond organ dominated, though there is some absolutely electrifying guitar as well. Very classical music influenced. There's lots of passages of classical music in there, from Rossini's William Tell Overture to Grieg's In the Hall of the Mountain King. But yeah, really, really cool. This is a UK first press. Again, love those swirl sleeves as well. But yeah, if you like Hammond organ, this is definitely an album for you. Okay, the next one then is some krautrock from 1972. This is Frumpy, a band out of Hamburg. This is their third album, by the way. Now I say krautrock, but to me this is kind of blues rock. The opening track, Going to the Country, is very country rock. Less keyboard in here than the first two Frumpy albums. A little bit more guitar orientated. A little bit more of a blues rock influence, but you still have that amazing lead vocal from Inga Rumpf, who was the lead singer for Frumpy. She's got an absolutely amazing voice, really, really powerful. She's like a female Robert Plant. She even looks almost like a female Robert Plant there. But yeah, really good stuff. Some of the other songs on here, like I'm Afraid of the Big Moon, they're a little bit more proggy, I think. This again's a German press. But yeah, good album. Not as progressive as the first couple of albums. Like I said, more blues rock, but still a good listen nonetheless. Frumpy, by the way. The next one then was Vertigo Records' first release in 1969. It was Valentine Suite by Colosseum. This is kind of proto-prog, kind of psych prog, I think. Coming from 1969, this is kind of in parts quite psychedelic, in parts more proggy. Again, you've got the album cover by Marcus Keefe, or Keefe. Usual pink lettering. This is a UK press. It's not a first press. This is again very kind of organ driven, very Hammond driven. Really cool. A lot of really cool instrumentation on this album. Again, on the swirl. That's cool swirl label. But for this one, this is a bit easier to pick up. It's not as expensive. You can pick up copies of this quite reasonably. I didn't pay very much for this at all. I think I paid £15 or something like that for this. But yeah, really, really good album. And Colosseum are really good band. So yeah, again, like I said, if you like Hammond organ, this would be an album for you. The Kettle and the Elegy are both really, really good tracks. Check it out, Colosseum, Valentine Suite. Next one then is an album that I've kind of got to be in the mood for a little bit. It's jazz rock fusion. The band is Nucleus, and the album is Elastic Rock. This is put out in 1970. And you can see the album cover looks a little bit different from the normal Marcus Keefe style. This is a Roger Dean cover, a die cut cover. It opens out and you've got this kind of lava scene in the inner gatefold. There's the band at the back. I presume this is Ian Carr, the leader of the band. He was a trumpet player and flugelhorn player, massively influenced by Miles Davis. I think this album came out just before Bitches Brew. Like I said, really, really good. I just have to be in the right mood for this. I'm not a massive jazz fan. But a lot of these players on here are excellent. It says here, Nucleus is just what the word implies, a small, tightly knit group of musicians. We're all closely involved with each other musically, and some of us have played together in different contexts before, but this is the first time we've met to try and realise our common musical ideals. But a lot of these guys who play in this album went on to play in later incarnations of the Soft Machine. Guitarist Chris Spedding, he played in a number of sessions. He played for Brian Eno in his Here Come the Worn Jets album. He played with Sixto Rodriguez. I think that was on his second album. Numerous different artists, and even Chris Spedding produced the Sex Pistols early demos as well. But this is a UK first press. Really, really nice sound, great condition, and I enjoy a spin of that one from time to time. So yeah, if you're into kind of jazz and jazz rock, I'm sure you would enjoy this Nucleus Elastic Rock. So the last one I'm going to show is a good one if you're just starting out with the Vertigo releases. I've by no means got an extensive collection. There's loads of them out there. I'm not sure exactly how many albums there are. Is that about 60 or 70, something like that? But some of them are mega rare, mega expensive. And like I said at the start, I've got a very modest and small Vertigo Swirl collection. But this is a good one to start on. The Vertigo Annual. This is a sampler that was put out in 1970. You can see that Marcus Keith cover in all its glory, with all the kind of pink vegetation, and then this young lady straddling a rocking horse. But yeah, this has got all the great stuff on it. It's got loads of the better known Vertigo acts, but then at the same time has a number of the lesser known Vertigo acts as well. So it's got the likes of Colosseum with the Elegy, one of the best songs on Valentine Suite. It's got Rod Stewart with Handbags and Glad Rags, who was signed initially with Vertigo. Jimmy Campbell's Half Baked, fantastic as well. May Blitz, their records go for quite a lot of money. Juicy Lucy, kind of hard rock. Magna Carta, Affinity. Black Sabbath, Behind the Wall of Sleep. Gracious, so that's one that I would really like to pick up, the Gracious album, and Cressida album as well. Then some Manfred Mann's Manfred Mann's Chapter 3, Bob Downes, and the last track, Uriah Heep. Yeah, this is a double, so there's loads on here. You get loads of bang for your buck, again, just on the Swirl label. But yeah, lots of good stuff on here. I think it gives you a little bit of a taste of the well-known Vertigo acts, as well as some of the lesser-known acts. So yeah, a good one to start with. Doesn't cost a lot. I think, again, I paid about £15 for this. It's not expensive. So yeah, check it out. It's really, really good. So there we have it. I hope you enjoyed that whistle-stop tour of my Vertigo Swirl collection. Like I said, a small collection, but I'd like it to grow a little bit more. There's other albums that I'm keen to pick up. I'm not really bothered about picking up things like the Sabbath albums on Vertigo. I'm quite happy to have them. The NEMS ones, or even reissues. But I'd like to pick up, is it Graham Bond's Holy Magic? It's like a weird occult style album. I'd like to pick up the Cressida albums and the Gracious album as well. So there's lots of good stuff out there to explore. Loads of kind of weird and wonderful albums from psych, prog, and singer-songwriters. So go check them out. Really, really good stuff on there. And I think there's something for everyone, especially if you like kind of weirder records. The sampler, like I said before, is a good place to start. Until the next time then, cheers for watching, and bye for now.